had seen a car on the internet, and I was like, man, I want one again. So I started looking at parts. So where can I go find parts? And you know it's bad, and you're locked in when you're already buying the parts before you're even buying the car.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Automotive Anatomy. Today we have Rob. Rob, thank you so much for making some time for us.
Thank
Tell
you.
us, man, what do you drive?
So I have here a 1994 Acura Legend sedan.
It is a Legend because it's super clean, man. Tell us, where did you pick it up? Why a Legend? And how did it come about?
All right, so I picked this up in Pasadena. Little old lady from Pasadena.
Oh, it
and
won it.
So a little backstory on the Legend is my parents owned one, and when I was younger in high school, I had a Camry, and my dad had bought a Legend at a police auction, and it was intended for my mom. And my mom was driving it for a while, and she said, "This car's too big, little lady." And I was like, at the time, I don't want to drive this car. It's too fancy. I look like a drug dealer or something, right? And so I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And I fell in love with the car. And I worked to pay it off, but my parents were still paying for the insurance because, you know, I have no money. I'm a kid in high school, you know, senior in high school, going to college. And then
So if you don't mind me asking, what year was this?
so this was in the late 90s, coming into early 2000s. So I was like,
So you were driving a brand new car per se, and the luxurious brand as well.
pretty much.
Man, every time you were a drug dealer.
All my friends wanted to ride, and I was like, man, all right. And I love driving the thing.
I don't like you that much.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so then this is not that car.
No.
What happened to that car?
So eventually sold. I had different aspirations that time. I moved overseas for 8 years. I stayed out there.
Where
Yeah.
did you move to?
I moved to the Philippines.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I went to school there. It was a turning point in my life. But I came back, and then I had seen a car on the internet, and I was like, man, I want one again. So I started looking at parts. So where can I go find parts? And you know it's bad, and you're locked in when you're already buying the parts before you're even buying the car. So I was looking at, okay, what rare parts can I find for this car? I'm a little late in the game. And I used to be very active in the Legend forums from the late 90s. So I dabbled in the forums, and like, oh shit, it's Rob. Like, some of the OGs remember me.
Nice.
So, you know, it with these cars, it's a lot of like bartering and haggling with guys who are just holding on to parts. Because parts on this car, even just factory parts, are hard to find.
Is that right?
You got to go to the junkyards to even look for a molding and stuff like that. So when it comes to Japanese parts, it's even rarer. When I was looking at this car, I first found it on Craigslist, and I thought it was a nice color. It's very 90s, like this color, and like the forest green's very 90s.
Granny gold, yeah.
Yeah, and when I saw it in 2016, November, the nephew was selling it. So the nephew was selling it on behalf of his aunt, she's old, and she couldn't drive this car, but she was the only one who owned this car.
Wow.
And she was the only one driving this car. And so when you see the interior, you see what I mean. There's no one's ever sat in the back. Like, only when I drove the car, someone sat in the back. So the nephew wanted a little too high than my budget at the time. So I said, okay, I'll pass for now. I couldn't haggle. And he told me one thing that I remember. He said, you're not gonna find a cleaner one. I said, I'll find a cleaner one. And I must have looked at maybe a dozen Legends locally. And I saw some on the East Coast, but I tried to factor in, oh, it's gonna cost this much to ship. And I wanna say 2 months. And I went back on Craigslist, I couldn't find the guy's post.
He sold it.
And I was checking my messages, and I was like, man, I need to find this guy. And I was just looking at junk Legends. Everyone's like, oh, this is a mechanic special, red flag, red flag.
Delete.
So I was pretty bummed at that point. I had already like started buying headlights and stuff. I'm already committed. So yeah, that was it. Like, I had to find this guy's text. I was like, oh, hey, do you still have your aunt's car? Yeah, I do. Can we negotiate it? Can I perhaps bring it down a little bit? And he said, okay, we'll see what we can do. And I asked my friend if he could look at it, and he said, okay. And I asked the guy, can I do a full inspection on it? And he was cool with it. And Mark messaged me and said, hey, you better get this car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because he was like, it's pretty clean. You know, this car had a lot of exterior dings and dents, probably from Granny getting in the garage.
Aww.
But otherwise, it's always been serviced. It's overall good condition. I had to fix a few things here and there. Before I even touched modifying it, I made sure it ran, because, you know, priority is.
What do we have in the front end?
So I modified it a bit. So with this car, I took elements from different regions. I liked either the European spec, which were glass headlights with clear corners, or the JDM one-piece. So these are JDM one-piece headlamps.
So are those plastic?
These are plastic.
Okay.
They're super rare. It has the fogs integrated in the headlight. So I did want a Japanese look on the front. I have a few things that aren't installed yet. I have fog lights. I have a intersection light. You know, I do want to take it slow and you know, just take my time on this car. I do have a lot of the parts. So what I have done so far is I was able to get a rare part from a guy on the East Coast named Gabe. He had a parking pole, and that parking pole actually functioned. My friend Sean was able to wire it up. It's got the original button. It comes off the Honda Legend KA7 in Japan. I might be one of the few guys stateside with that. And typically, it's on this side because of right-hand drive. But my friend Jimmy was able to give me a template, and we flipped it to go on the other side.
That's awesome.
So it actually goes up and down. I could show you later, and it lights up. And that's it's a hit when I bring it out and people are like, what is this thing? I do have a JDM grill, which my friend Sean is also modifying. So at the time, I wanted to do a Honda Legend, but Acura spent a lot of money marketing the brand Acura. But I loved the way of the Japanese grill. I have a grill, and I'm modifying it with the Acura symbol right now. So that'll be on soon.
What kind of suspension are you running?
So I have an old school setup, ground control with Coney red shocks.
The red ones, okay.
The red ones.
Okay.
No, the red ones were the ones on this car, I think, specifically. I don't know if they had the yellows.
Oh.
So yeah, very period correct stuff on it. So the wheels for this car, I wanted to look like the actual Legend. The GS trim was a 6-speed version of this car, and they had a 5-spoke design. So this is like a step up with a 3-piece look. So it's kind of like the stock wheels on steroids. when I saw him in Japan, and at the Japan Yahoo auctions, and I had to scoop it up. I scooped it up for a steal. It was $260 for the set. Crazy.
Arrest this guy, man. That's a
Yeah,
crime.
and you know, it had to have a lot of work done, so it's been refinished. But it looks good now.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't look like this. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Tell us about the name of the wheels and the specs of the tires as well.
Okay, so these are old school Lowenharts. If you remember back in the day, the Hart wheels were real popular. Back in the day, Dad's Motorsports brought the Hart wheels, like Lowenharts, Racing Hearts. Fun fact, these were built by NK, and a lot of the Hart wheels, they were either built by Work Wheel or NK. So my coworker Rick, he used to be the director at NK, and he told me, yeah, we used to build these wheels, and I was surprised. Actually, Lowenhart, shout out to Lowenhart, they messaged me, and they gave me a lot of the old like Lowenhart stuff, because this is an old logo. They had an old lion logo.
No way, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
they sent me a banner and all the old stuff. But Lowenhart, like the OG designs, are the most popular one in the States used to be the LD1, if you guys remember that one. But this is the Takeshi project, I think. LD or D01 is what these are. And these are very rare stateside. These were usually popular in Asian countries, so like Malaysia, Thailand.
Gotcha. What
They're
are the specs?
they're 3-piece, 18 by 8, and it's plus 41 offset in the front and plus 35 in the rear, and it's 18 by 8 all around. I lucked out because they fit okay.
Oh, they fit perfectly.
So in order to make those fit, you know, it was a trial and error thing. Like shout out to my friend Javi, who helped me with, and Orlando, his brother, for helping me with the specs, because I'm not too knowledgeable about wheel specs, but they helped me out. The tires, you know, I had to change them, because even if they're different sizes, some are beefier than the others. I was rubbing, and I had a guy named Tony, old school cat, Tony, out in Granada Hills. He pulled my front fenders and he shaved the rears. I wanted it to look clean, just
OEM as possible.
yes. So my vision is OEM plus is this car, basically. Taillights are one-off. Shout out to Kazu, my friend out in Japan, who helped me on these. Before, back in the day, there used to be a shop called Hilltop that made clear red tails. They would take the factory taillight and they knocked the amber out of this and was able to bend the reflector.
Oh, wow.
So it looks pretty clean, but this is not Hilltop, this is another shop. And he does custom work, but it does take a while. But if there's a will, there's a way. The look of the rear is also Japan inspired. I painted the Acura emblem like the Japan Honda emblem. So usually it's like a factory body color to match your car color. Now the spoiler is OEM. Shout out to my friend Sean, who picked it up at the junkyard.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. He found it, and I had my uncle's guy paint it. Sean installed it. You know, I was really scared about it because, you know, you're drilling into your trunk, and once you're done, you can't go back unless I find a trunk, you know.
It's a whole different animal.
So he did take his time installing it. He measured, he told me, yeah, he was scared to drill in it too.
Measure 300 times.
300 times, exactly. The muffler came from Japan. I got it the same time I got my wheels. I got lucky with the Japan auctions. So this brand is called Razor. It came off a junk Legend in Japan. So interior is a work in progress.
Okay.
I am having some custom burl wood pieces made. So the higher trims on the Legend had actual burl wood. When I first bought the car, it had the faux wood. I was able to source some pieces through the Acura Legend and Enthusiast group. With that, I wanted to add more to it. So I purchased the Momo steering wheel, and just adding accents, more wood accents. So my plan is, right now, my friend AJ is making some custom one-off burl wood cluster. So it's inspired by the Mugen clusters.
Which you probably have a magazine of?
Yeah. So in the back, this car is VIP inspired. So I do have the Jaguar Vanderplas tables. A couple of more things I'm going to do custom rear reclining seats that came off the Japanese Legend.
Oh, wow.
So the Japanese Legend had way more bells and whistles in this car. You're talking about navigation in 1991. And that was probably the second car to ever have a navigation system in a car. The other thing with the rear reclining seats, they had a different center console with AC controls and a phone as well. My floor mats are rare Honda Access mats.
And I hear what you're saying. Nobody has ever sat in the back seat.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
So-
This car is mint.
So little things like my door locks come off the Japan car. Just those small details like we don't get in the U.S. The door sills, the scuff plates, they're all Japanese. And then I do have a center front console from Japan that I have yet to install, but it has that extra little bit of burl wood in it. That's just something that that's a work in progress at the moment. Other burl wood accents that I'm going to put in this car will be custom, one-off.
Wow.
So-
Very pretty.
So right now I have the stock intake box in because I'm prepping for air suspension, but usually I have a cold air intake that goes down. So this is inspired by my friend Kazu's engine bay, and he consulted with me on this part of the build.
So speak on that. What is it that? First of all, what size motors are we looking at?
We're talking about a V6. This is the C32A. They made two versions of this. One which had 30 more horsepower, and you'll know it by the Type 2 engine for the Legend cars. A lot of people confused it as the same engine as an NSX when no, it was only featured in the Legend and the RL, which was Legend outside of US.
So then, what are some of the modifications you've done or added little pieces to it?
So my little strut bars chromed. I polished a lot of the pieces on here, including the AC lines. Little details like this cover. This is a JDM cover. I have a Mugen oil cap. Polished the heads, polished the intake manifold, polished the throttle body. It was polished by a shop in Downey called JD Polishing. I have chrome pieces on the radiator. custom tie down. Just wanted to make it pretty. The little details like this plate came off a JDM car. Shout out to Gabe for that rare piece. But again, not trying to overdo it, you know, like a good detail on the engine, and then just maintain it afterward.
Super clean, man. All right, Rob, thank you so much for making time for us, man. I really appreciate it. Super clean car. Just a car in general, let alone Legend. So tell us, man, any shout outs?
Shout out to Automotive Anatomy.
Thank you.
For doing this. Appreciate it. Shout out to everyone out there, you know, building the old cars, man. Like, just don't rush on it. Take your time and do it right. Do it right the first time, and that'll save you a lot of headaches. Shout out to everyone who's worked on this car with me. Shout out to KJ for importing pieces. Shout out to my homie Kazu in Japan. Shout out to Hybrid Pit, Buena Park. Shout out to Sean D, Bandit Motorworks. Shout out to Junction Produce. Shout out to Lowenhart, Milestar Tires. Shout out to PJ Bonifacio for the paint. And if anyone I forgot, I'm sorry. Shout out to my wife for putting up with me in the cars. Just shout out to all the car enthusiasts out there. Do your thing, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob. And yeah, keep definitely a positive attitude and love the things that you're doing to your car, man. Can't wait to see you on more shows, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's... Oh, sorry. Shit, you're... Shit, you're okay.
I can tell you don't watch my video.
Okay, sorry, man.
That's so good. 3, 2, 1.
Worked on this car.
I gotta get started.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Come on, Rob.
Shit.
Come on, man.
You're doing the shoutouts.
I'm not doing the shoutouts. You're doing the shoutouts.
I'm doing the shoutouts? Okay.
3, 2, 1.